China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has taken aim at U.S. intervention in Hong Kong affairs. A just-released document accuses the U.S. of wantonly interfering in China's internal affairs, especially Hong Kong-related acts. The paper spells out a series of moves by Washington in recent years that slander China's policies and undermine China's sovereignty over the Hong Kong SAR. The list also details U.S. support for anti-China destabilizing forces. The paper says the U.S. has been spreading political disinformation to justify the acts of lawbreakers in Hong Kong and mislead the public. For more on the list, now let's bring in our current affairs commentator, Mr. Einar Tangen in Beijing, joining us via Skype. Thanks for joining us, Einar. First of all, how do you see this fact sheet of the U.S. interfering in Hong Kong? What's the significance of it and why it is released now?
Well, Donning, I mean, it's a change in tactics. Generally, Beijing has responded tit for tat, but you saw in Anchorage and also in Tianjin that China is putting forward its own agenda. So rather than try to, trade opinions, China has come out with this impressive fact sheet, which details all the actions that the U.S. has been taking. So it's a highly focused response to this kind of widening gap between the rhetoric of developed nations and the reality that is within China.
And what do you think the U.S. is trying to achieve by interfering in Hong Kong affairs? Why are they so enthusiastic in the interference?
Well, they see it as an international opportunity. Really, though, it's just a classic misdirection to divert attention from this, a disturbing pattern of domestic and international governmental failure, policy failures, and also this kind of deep-seated domestic division. You only have to look at what's happening. I think, this Harvard study and other studies have come out and said, variously, 78 to 95% of the Chinese population it believes and trusts its government versus 25% for the U.S.
And Hong Kong itself just finished choosing members of the election committee. They will be responsible for choosing legislative council members in December and also a chief executive in March next year. How difficult do you think it is for China to guarantee security during those critical moments?
Well, I mean, obviously there are 2 points for that. One is just the physical security, making sure that there aren't riots and there isn't a return to the kind of chaos that was occasioned a couple of years ago. I mean, Hong Kong has returned to a calm. It's now expanding. Its markets are growing. It's now surpassing New York. And I think this is a concern to the U.S. I mean, apart from this kind of idea that they're trying to help Hong Kong is a real competitor to U.S. markets, especially as things continue to move east. Then you have the second issue on the internet. Social media has been used and weaponized as a disinformation entity to spread this ongoing, unsupported campaign of lies and disinformation. And China's going to have to crack down on that. There's just no other way to deal with this kind of situation and protect their sovereignty. But really, the important part is the long game. China has delivered for the last 40 years, good governance. And going forward, its ability to do that is going to be the deciding factor in how the world, not the U.S., but the world, views China.
Indeed. Thank you very much, current affairs commentator, Mr. Einar Tangen in Beijing.